There are different kinds of embroidery thread on the market, but I'd recommend as a beginner using the 6-stranded embroidery floss. So DMC is a worldwide brand that I'd go for, which you can find in most craft stores. And it comes in the most amazing array of colours. So here is an example. This is thread that I've actually put on one of my own thread holders, so don't forget to write the numbers on when you do that. Now see how the thread is made up of 6 individual strands of floss. They're all twisted up into a group of 6, and each individual one is called a strand of floss. You can either use it as is or separate out the floss to suit your pattern. In some of my patterns I recommend using the embroidery thread at the full thickness of 6 strands, and in some I recommend working with less strands at a time. It takes a bit of extra time, but you can actually separate out your strands of floss, smooth them out, and then group them up again before you thread your needle. This is actually really worthwhile because by smoothing out the twists, it means there's less chance of your thread tangling up or knotting as you stitch away, which can be so frustrating. It also means your finished stitches can look a bit tidier and less lumpy due to the twists. You probably won't notice that as a beginner, but you will notice how helpful it is if your threads aren't getting all twisted. Okay, so I'm going to divide that in half, and now I've got 2 lots of 3 strands of floss. This is all twisted up, so I'm going to remove each strand of floss and smooth it out. You do have to be quite careful as you do this, because they can knot up really easily if you try to go too fast. So just gently remove 1 strand of floss at a time, and as you split it, you kind of let it unravel and just gently work your way to the bottom, and then they'll come apart nicely. So there's the twisted group of 3 versus this lot, which I'm just now going to line up, smooth them out into a group of 3, and then that's what I'll actually thread onto my needle and work with, and it will be way less likely to get tangled. So you actually save time later if you take this step at the start. Now I know it's tempting to work with a longer piece of thread because then it's less fluffing around with knots and rethreading your needle, but trust me, you're better off using a shorter, more usable length of thread. Firstly, because it's less likely to tangle up and cause you headaches as you embroider, woohoo! But second, it means there's less wear and tear on the thread as it goes back and forth through the fabric. Trust me, that's a thing. So I like to use closer to a 30 centimetre piece, and I wouldn't suggest you go over about 50 centimetres as a beginner, and you'll get a feel for what works for you as you get more confidence with this craft.